On today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I made these super cute little bookmarks. So first of all, the little teacup with a tea bag on the other end that just hangs around like this. Oh, that's so lovely. And this little bee that I made, another little bookmark. Look how lovely it looks just on printed paper like that. I can't wait to put them in my new junk journal. So to start with, for the teacup, I just drew the shapes out that I needed for the teacup and then just cut them out. Now I have made a free template of the size I made mine with, so you can cut that out if you want. It just makes it easier. You can probably make it larger if you needed to on your computer screen, I'm not sure. But I've the downloadable printable, I'll leave the link below. That is the size of the cup I made. Anyway, so this is just a little piece of cotton fabric. Sorry, I can just hear somebody rummaging in the scrap bin. Oh yeah, she's got some felt. Just put that in there. So yes, so this is just a little piece of cotton fabric. It's not the really thick cotton that I've used before. And then I thought I would just put some double-sided tape on to hold these templates in place on the fabric whilst I cut around them. I did later actually just glue these to the fabric completely. But for now, there's just that little bit of tape on holding them in place, just so I could trim around the edge without them moving out the line. So that's those three done. And then this front section, we'll just go over the back section. And this area is where the tea will be. So I had a few scraps of material, but I felt like that was too dark, like too rich. Like that's too dark for my tea colour. So I cut a little piece of felt, which was probably exactly the right colour tea that I like. Just a little bit milk. And this will go just on here. It's amazing how just a couple of little pieces of fabric just look like something so real. So next I cut the little tag out as well and just trimmed around the edges with the material on it. And then I just cut out a little square of that darker material just to glue on, which will look like the tea. Now this is my junk journal I made last week. Thank you to all my new subscribers that are interested in me decorating my junk journal. So I just had a piece of spare fabric from my journal, which I've got here. So I'm just using this as a pretty little bit fancy pattern to go around the teacup. And I thought that would just tie in lovely with my new journal. And then I just glued. So basically, yeah, with these pieces with the paper on, stuck on still like this, I just glued it on both sides and then just stuck fabric on the other side. So I didn't even take the paper off. You could do card if you wanted to be a bit sturdier, but I just ended up leaving the paper on. And then so I've done that with the little tea bag as well, like this, trimmed around it. I put plenty of glue on, so once the glue was dry, the fabric didn't fray. So I just glued all the little pieces onto the paper, and so this is the back piece, which you can see I've got glued the material on both sides, and these two pieces as well. So to attach the little piece of string I've got here to the tea bag, I've just put a little bit of glue in the top of the tea bag, just under the material there, and then just pop the end of the string, trying to get it in the middle of the tea bag so it looks a little bit more realistic, and just squidge that on like that. And then I just glued on a little square of the darker colour, brown, so that looks like tea leaves in the bottom of the tea bag. And I used a fine marker pen here, or a fine tip pen, to do little dots around the outside so it looks like a tea bag. And then I stamped on the word tea. How cute is that? I love it. So now for the teacup, I just glued the string, the other end of the string, into the top of the teacup there, slightly off-centered, and then I glued, but then I decided actually no, the string needs to be looking like it's coming from in the cup, like not behind the cup. So I pulled it back out and I've stuck it in here under my little bit of tea, which was felt. So I've just stuck that on. I like the texture of it. I think it looks quite realistic. I just trimmed the edges of the front there. And then before I glued on the front section, I thought, wouldn't it be cute if this little tea bag actually goes in the cup, actually like slots in the cup like that. So then I just found a little piece of scrap paper here just to use as like a guide. So I just made sure it was bigger than the little tea bag and held it on the back here. Just put some glue on here, and then I just used a little brush just to make sure that I got glue just where I wanted it. I didn't go too close up to this piece of card because I just wanted to make sure that there was plenty of room for the tea bag, even if the glue squidges over a little bit. And then I glued the front of the teacup on. How cute is this? I was going to sew the edges of this and have it as a little bit of a sewing project, but I just thought, no, I'm just gonna glue it so it won't fray. And I didn't really feel like it needed the detail of stitches around the edge. I am going to do some sewing projects, but it hasn't happened this week. So then I just glued that little piece of fabric on that I cut from the material I used to do my junk journal, and just glued that on there, and just made sure it was neatly in position just down from the top of the rim of the cup, so the rim would stand out. So the handle here, I felt like there was a bit of a bump where you could see the handle attaching to the cup. So I just carefully moved it underneath the other layer like that. So it didn't have a little lump there. That's much better. My tiny little teacup. How sweet is that? So here's a little piece of material. I glued this earlier just so it would be more rigid, so that I could cut out a couple of little leaves and a little flower to stick on the front of the teacup, because it just would have been way too tricky if I'd not glued this to make it rigid. It would have been too tricky to cut something really small out. It would have just frayed. It would have just fallen to pieces. So then I just used my tweezers here and just dipped the leaves into glue and then just glued them on like so. I put them pretty much in the middle of the cup and put the little flower on the middle. In fact, I'd moved it over at this point. I think I've got slightly to the left of the cup. And then I put my little tea bag in. How cute is that? And you can see there's a lovely little pocket there for the tea bag to sit in, because that just looks so cute, doesn't it, when you're not using it to be a bookmark. I went around the edges with a little bit of black ink here. I just held a little piece of material on the end of my tweezers just to give it a little bit definition around the edge. And I love that. Look how cute that's turned out. I don't actually think I've ever made a bookmark before, so I love this. And this is going to go in my junk journal, 2 of my favourite things, tea and rabbits. Next, we're going to do the bee bookmark. Now, this is a liner cut stamp that I made years and years ago on this channel. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to watch how I made that stamp. And this is just some black fabric ink that I'm just going to be using on paper, but it seems to be fine. I just took off the fluff off this. I've just been sorting out my craft materials because as you might know, I've just started getting back into doing my weekly uploads. Every Sunday I upload a video now. I think I'm on about my 8th week since I restarted my YouTube channel back up, and I am loving it. And the more I'm doing it, the more creative I'm feeling. So I'm absolutely loving it. So then I just dipped my little sponge here into the ink, and I just patted it on this paper here just to take off the excess, and then just covered my stamp in ink. I had no idea if this was going to work or not because I've never cleaned this stamp, and I know I probably should. So I probably will now. So that's the ink on. I'm always slightly nervous doing things like this. I don't know why, because I could easily do it again. So I just positioned it at the bottom of this paper so then I could cut a strip above it to make the part that folds over the next page for the bookmark. This was probably a bit overkill with this roller, but it felt quite nice doing it. Oh, honestly, that sounded so nice, peeling that up. I'm sorry you didn't get to hear that, because I unfortunately have to narrate my videos because sometimes I'm videoing them late at night. Not in this case, obviously. You can see the sun beaming in the window. Now, I'm going to print more of these out. I love doing that. In fact, I'm going to make a free printable. You can download that from my blog. I'll leave a link down below to minimore.co.uk, and just go on to the blog post for these bookmarks, and you'll be able to download a free printable template of my little bee stamp, and also the template for the teacup that I made. So they'll be on there. So I just went along with a black pen here, just filled in bits of the bee stamp, added a bit colour This takes me a while because I'm never quite sure what I'm doing. I just add bits and just try and make things look how I think they should look. I've rarely painted, apart from these in this last 8 projects. I've done a couple of little bits of paint work on a few of my projects, but I'm just starting to get a bit more confident with using bits of paint. These are just like oil paints. No, watercolour paints they are. So I added a bit white here and a bit of this richer kind of orange colour, a little bit of the brighter yellow, just to give it a little bit colour. So I also went around the wings there a little bit with a black pen, just because it was a little bit patchy with it being a stamp. And then I just put some around here. So welcome to all my new subscribers. I'm so overwhelmed that I've almost got 15,000 subscribers. I'm so pleased about that. It just makes us so happy that so many people want to watch what I do. Yes, so thank you and welcome to all my new subscribers, and hi to everybody. I'm really trying to build my channel up. I'm going to be doing members soon. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, where you can have like certain benefits. I haven't got it set up yet. It'll probably take us ages because I'm rubbish at things like that. But I will get it set up. And then, yes, you might want to take a look at that. So here I'm just using my craft knife to cut out tiny little pieces from in the wings. And then I cut out right around the edge of the wing here. I know this looks quite stiff, but it's just the watercolour paper is lovely and thick. So I wanted to press down quite hard so I wouldn't have to cut it again. Just pull these bits off, left a little border around the legs there. And I just very carelessly just squidged a big yellow dollop of paint going up. Panicked a bit, put some masking tape on just so that it would have a straight line. But then when do I ever have straight lines in any of my projects? Anyway, I enjoyed the process of just clotting on. But yeah, that is too bright for my aesthetic. Although I love colours, and I know obviously these have got yellow in them, but I just needed to mute it down a little bit. So I just stuck some clear film. Actually, just before I'd done that, I got my black pen here, and I just filled the white bits on the wings. I was thinking, should I do the black first before I cut the bits out of the wings? But you would have seen the little edges anyway. So once I coloured the wings in black, with obviously the little holes showing through, I then cut out some of this clear film. I forgot I had this actually. I don't think I've ever used it before. Certainly not in a project. So I cut out a little shape here, which was just a little bit bigger than one of the wings. And I just glued this over the wing because I just thought this is going to look so much like a bee's wing, or similar to a bee's wing. So I glued that on, well, stuck it on, sorry. And then I turned it over and I put another piece on the other side. I haven't got it on the video here. I've done the same on the other one. Look how they shimmer in the light. And then I just trimmed off the edge. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to that video clip. So here, just to kind of soften down this yellow, I stuck this neutral coloured ribbon on here. I've used my clear glue, and you can see where the glue is. So I did go over the whole bit so that if it did dry dark, it wouldn't spoil it. I used a gold pen there just to dullen down a little bit of the yellow. And I've used my just tea stain here, so just a tea bag basically, where I've dipped my sponge in and just gone around the lighter colours there, so that the white of the bee on the bottom stands out a bit more. Here's a little tag I found actually that I'd done with my bee stamp ages ago. I used to sell these in my Etsy shop, which I don't have now. It was just so time consuming. So that is my little bee bookmark. I can't wait to pop it in my junk journal. I love my junk journal that I made last week, and I'm so pleased. So many of you have discovered my channel through the junk journal. I'm planning on doing like a midweek page decoration of my junk journal. So please subscribe if you want to watch that. And hit the notification bell so you'll see exactly when I upload my next video. I've loved making these bookmarks. They are super cute and they're going straight in my junk journal. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a brilliant week. I'll see you on the next one.